Morning, Connor. How you doing?
Morning, JP. Good yourself?
Good.
We never say our names on the podcast, so
No.
for anyone that doesn't know our name, I am Corné Ladigan.
I'm JP, which is short for Jean-Pierre.
I mean, it's pretty funny. We get a lot of clients that just call you Jean. So
Yeah.
we'll get a phone call on the company
Can I
number.
speak to Jean?
Or Jean or
Yeah.
John or, yeah. So it's Jean-Pierre. Really fascinating topic today. This one can be applied in all areas of life and business.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a builder for this specific podcast to make sense, but what I've seen with a lot of our builders that, you know, this is a topic that is top of mind with a lot of the really successful builders that are hitting that stage in their business now that, you know, things are running, you know, pretty well. They've got good teams and so on, but they find themselves, you know, I've got to keep evolving my goals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it always feels to them that like they are not moving ahead.
Progressing. Yeah.
They're not progressing.
And so in that, often it is good sometimes to look back. I know a book that often gets mentioned is Dan Sullivan's Gap and the Gain.
Yeah.
That helps a lot of those high achievers because, like you said, if you're always pushing, then that the distance between you and that next goal set, you know, we're big here. It's like just before we reach that goal, the goalposts move. So it sometimes feel like, oh man, I'm just never getting there. But if you were to look back, you go, wow, how much have we gained? And that should then be used to then motivate you to keep moving forward again towards the next goal. But yeah, I think, like you said, the high achievers that we work with, what we're going to be discussing today is a big part of their daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, quarterly, you know, it's part of what they do.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. In that Gap in the Gain, like I've read that book, but I can't remember exactly everything about it. But it's fascinating. The other day I moved homes, and while we're moving, I found the shoebox full of journals. And you know, since like 2015 or whatever, I've been journaling every day, like setting out my goals, the wins for that day, all those kind of things,
Yeah.
right? Just get stuff out of my head. And it's fascinating looking at the goals back then. You know, so it might be monetary goals, or it might be, you know, particular projects we want to do in the business to set the business up, systems we want to build, all this stuff.
Or family.
And you look back and you're like, wow, those goals were tiny, and we absolutely smashed it. And now we're on this whole different level. So I agree 100%. Sometimes you do have to look back. But we've got three really good topics today. Just before we jump into those topics, what do you see? Because obviously the topic for today is not getting what you want. When you talk to builders, what does that mean?
That's a good question. It can mean something different for each of them, depending sometimes on the day or the time you're talking to them. You know, are they in the middle of working on a challenge, solving a problem, or are they busy celebrating a win or something like that? But often, yeah, most of the time we're talking to builders, especially new builders, because they want to be working with better quality clients more consistently.
So it's very much in terms of like that whole sales part of the business.
Yeah,
Like
because
acquisition anyway.
Yeah, like we often say, and other people have said it before us, you know, marketing is sales in advance. Marketing is the lifeblood of a business. And yes, you can, I wouldn't say rely. There are people who do function on word of mouth, but often they're either going to stay just doing small stuff and taking everything that just comes their way, or you are going to hear of, and some of the guys that they might know of, guys that are maybe in their 50s plus who've been doing it a long time, and they're doing very, very high scale projects. Very different. You know, those guys sometimes don't even have a website. But for majority in the middle, yeah, you're going to be stuck in obscurity if you're not putting yourself out
So
there.
that's on the business side. What about like on the personal side? Like let's say a building business owner, they're not getting what they want in terms of, what they desire, or maybe they've got a few goals.
Yeah,
and it's just not happening.
Often the guys are talking to, you know, personal business, often pretty mixed in a way. So
Do you find that a lot of builders like see them completely separate? So it's almost like, I've got my business, clock off, go home, then I've got personal, or is it a bit of a mix?
depends how it's articulated, but sometimes they'll articulate it as being two separate things, but they all understand, appreciate that those are somewhat intertwined. You know, for us to maybe have that lifestyle we want at home, to afford that if it's of a particular level, or if if I want the freedom to spend time with family, I need to systemize the business.
Yeah.
I need to achieve a certain level or a certain goal.
Yeah.
That's not always scaling. It's not always monetary. It might just be more systems. It might be, the goal might be a big topic of late. As always, charging for quotes. Charging for quotes means that you hopefully would be doing less but better quality quoting. So that then buys you back time. You can spend that time better elsewhere. You're not spending or outsourcing your quoting. Go spend the afternoon, evening with your family rather than quoting till midnight.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, we catch up with a lot of builders in different environments. So we've got like the mastermind where we catch up every week. And then I've got a lot of builder friends that we catch up like outside of business.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. And I love those catch ups because it helps me to get clear on like what I want. And which leads me to topic one. And topic one is clear. So the question you want to ask yourself is, if you're not getting what you want, are you clear on what you actually want? And I've been doing a lot of like research, and I've put a lot of effort and mental cognition into this topic lately because I really believe that most people don't know what they want. And if they think they know what they want, it's just because of what society or previous generations have basically said, this is what
Just how it's
you
always
want.
been done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want the house, you want the kids, like you want, it's basically just us falling into this, this ideal world of what we want without really taking the time out to think what we want. And I think it's a big problem because if you get clear on what you want and it was just someone else's idea, when you achieve that, I've noticed that you're not really that happy about it. Like it doesn't, really move your world. So I guess on this like clarity thing in terms of what you want, like what do you see with builders? Because you always talk to builders, and a big thing, part of that first conversation is to understand what they want in the short, medium and long term in terms of the business. And that's really important because when we join them on that journey, we need to know that.
It's often I will send builders away and just say, I think you need to get some more.
What do you mean send them away?
They'll come to us and go, I want help. I want to, I need help with marketing. Can you help me? And then we start chatting and I'll just ask them some questions and understanding, what is it that you ultimately are trying to achieve here?
Yeah, so almost like, why do you want to market?
Yeah, why? And sometimes they'll be unclear or goals don't match, and then often I'll say to them, look, I don't think this, maybe it's just no, this isn't going to work, or often it's maybe not now. Yeah. Maybe go away and spend some time on this. Let's catch up in X a month or 3 months or 6 months, and just see how you're going with that. And that's also often just good for us. And for me, when I do catch up, either do you show up to that catch up? That'll say how committed are you to the goals that you're trying to figure out, and have you become clear in that time?
Yeah.
There needs to be some level of clarity, not total, because a big part of our process is going to be helping them to really get clear. But they've got to have some goal.
Like in story development. So when the client comes on board, we'll go through story development first to get clarity on their messaging, their clients and all that kind of stuff. But it's definitely part of that. I guess that process we run them through is to get clear on the vision side of things.
And also just knowing you want something. Like, I want to do this. I really, really want to achieve X. Awesome. Let's dig into that and see how we can help you with that.
So for those builders, right, that you might send away, okay, I know it sounds pretty harsh, but in all honesty, we want our clients to be able to send people away that come their way, that it's not a clear fit. And a clear fit means it's not your ego talking here. It's you going, actually, I don't think I'm the best person to help this client.
Yeah. Often a good example might be someone comes to us and they just want video, just for the sake of it. They just want this thing. They want us just to create something for them. Whereas we're big on, well, we want to partner with our builders. We want to go on a journey with you and understand where do you want to get to, what do you want to achieve. And so some builders, are, well, as I said, aren't clear, or they don't want that. They just give me this thing. Okay, well, that's not us.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there that can probably help you.
Builders should be the same. So the question I have is, before we go to the next topic, what are some things that you would suggest builders do that they might not be quite ready to come on board as a client with us to get more clarity on what they want? Obviously, knowing that we're going to help them along the way with a lot of this and get more clear, but just that initial clarity in terms of what I want to do with the business, or how I want to work. What does my work life balance look like? I know for a lot of our clients at the moment, it's winning back time to go spend with kids and family and so on. And that is really about getting systems in place and more team and getting everything ticking.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you would suggest to builders, that they can go and just ask themselves, go out for a coffee by themselves and just start thinking about, what are some prompts?
What would be the ultimate day or week, or what do I want it to look like? What kind of projects do I want, and do I think the team would really enjoy and would we feel most fulfilled with? Because before you even begin working towards anything, if you're not clear on it, you just half dabble here and
we're going to get into that topic in a sec.
Yeah.
But on that note, though, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I'm listening to a new book at the moment. I'm not going to reveal the book because I want to listen to the whole thing first, actually make sure it's valuable for our audience. But in this book, the person said sometimes, and this was around problems coming up. Sometimes a problem comes up and it consumes your mind so much. You can't stop thinking about it. It paralyzes you. You can't even work or do anything. And he said, it sounds so simple. He said, zoom out. Right? Because at that point in time, you are focused, right, on that particular problem and you can't see anything around it. So he said, literally just step back, physically step back and just observe the whole situation and zoom out and see how that problem is relevant in the future and in the big picture. And bringing it back to not getting what you want. So on a little exercise you can do, getting clear on what you want, is zoom out a little bit. Look at the longer term, because then all the little goals or desires or problems that you have right now, that becomes so small when you zoom out. So, you might be like, well, something I want in the long term is to build my own developments and have Netflix shows about it or something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
What does family life look like? I want to go live in Currumbin Valley on an acreage and so on. And, just zoom out from your current life and then, look at what you want. It doesn't mean you're going to, you're fixed on that. You can change that along the way. But it's just something that I found really useful yesterday when I listened to that while I was listening to this book. Should we go on to topic 2? Because you kind of went into it before. So topic 1 is getting clarity on what you want. If you're clear on what you want, topic 2 is focus. So now you can get focused. And this is a 2-part conversation, this topic. But this is something we talk about a lot with our builders, is focus, and something that they are striving for.
Yeah, I think, and it'll weave also into topic 3 for sure. All these 3 work very closely together. But getting clear on what it is you want, and then focusing on that, and sticking to just that. I might just jump to 3 because it'll help make.
But what do you mean? So before we jump to 3,
okay.
I know you want to give away the secrets, but what do you mean by focus? When I say focus, let's assume now you're clear on what you want. How would you define focus?
Focus to me is probably in a very practical sense. It is that my goal that I've now become clear on, is it top of mind as often as possible?
So do you see it more as a discipline type of thing?
Yes.
That's what I mean, because this focus part could mean, it means a lot of different things, and it needs to have You need to have all those things in place. So yeah, to me, it's like that discipline. So if you look at what's the opposite of focus is distraction. So if you are distracted, there is no way you can focus. So if we look at like, what are the things that distract you, start with that and eliminate those things, you will become more focused. Because sometimes it doesn't matter how disciplined you are. If those distractions are in your life, you will not be able to focus.
For sure.
I mean, some things could be outside distractions. So things that you might consider that you can't really control. So people in the office, like barging into your office while you're focusing. Or what else?
On a personal side, getting family and friends, pulling you for your time and attention.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's necessary.
So emergencies and so on.
Yeah. I think also life would be pretty lonely if you didn't have friends and family.
Yeah.
And you just were just going hard. Yeah. Maybe that is what you want to do. Cool. But most of the time, a bit of a balance is important.
Absolutely.
But maybe compartmentalizing a little bit, having time where, when do you do your best work, and can stay focused. All right, well, what if you just made it known to those people who might be reaching out to you?
Like one of our clients / really good friends, what time does he normally start work?
1:30 to
You know who
1
you
a.m.
are.
to yeah.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
2 a.m. No joke.
No distraction.
No distraction. And he's in the office.
Yeah.
It's not just like at home. Like he drives to the office and then starts working, and he said he puts on heavy metal music, which is pretty funny. But yeah, but I think the thing is, if you can get your clarity, like if you can get clear on what you want, automatically a lot of those distractions will fall away, because I think we seek distractions when we're not clear on what we want. We go and sit at the coffee shop for ages and procrastinate and so on. So procrastination is also the opposite of focus. But I think focus is a huge one, and we should do another podcast on the force multiplier of focus and what that actually means.
Interesting. Just my brain there for a sec there, because some of the stuff that you were mentioning this morning before we even jumped onto to this podcast was just clarity and sort of whittling things down to their purest form, call it that.
Like first principles thing.
Yeah, and like, can you put that thought down to one word? Can you put that whole thought into one sentence or one word? I think if you could do that when it comes to being clear on what it is that you want, it doesn't require a lot of thinking. Yeah. And I know I was also talking with Andre this morning about the two systems in the brain, and the easier because we're naturally programmed to go the easiest path.
Like least resistance.
Least resistance.
Yep.
It's a survival mechanism. It allows us to store more energy. We're not using it. So that is a natural path. So if you can come up with what you want and your goals and be super clear, so clear that I never need to think about it to get myself back there again. Because sometimes if a goal is not super clear and it's too complex, every time you think about it and want to execute on it, I've got to your brain's got to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can simplify it, I'm there.
100%. We were in the mastermind with Sam Ovens. I don't know how this came up. I think it was in the background of his video one day. There was like a sticky note, and one of the members on the call kept saying because we kept seeing this sticky note for hours, because it was like a 3-day event on Zoom, and it's like, what is on that sticky note? So he pulled the sticky note off and put it in front of the camera, and it said, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was just a number. It was like 536 or 11,000, or I can't remember. And everyone was like, what is this? And he's like, well, I'm not going to tell you, but we have the sticky note everywhere in the office. I have it everywhere at home. I've got it on my fridge. I've got it on the bathroom mirror. Mm-hmm. And to him, it was just like, it's a goal that the one goal that they are going towards right now. Nothing else matters. And it's in front of his face, and it's literally just a number. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's clear.
That's really, really good. Yeah, I've often thought about getting a whiteboard marker and writing it on the mirror.
Yeah.
In the bathroom.
So, I mean, like, for example, like, let's make this practical for builders. Like, let's say one of their goals, like, to work 3 days a week, right? The other 2 days is to maybe get out of the office, out of operations, and maybe work on the business the one day, and the other day have like a family specific day or whatever. You know, and if that is the goal, it's just like 3. That could be the goal. And then, you know, every project that comes your way in terms of like, not maybe like building project, but what I mean is like project within the business, initiatives. Any initiative that comes your way, it's like, does that make the boat go faster? Does that actually move us closer towards the goal?
Yeah.
If yes, then do it, but then go, how do I now do it by not adding another day to my week? Because again, the goal is 3 days. And it allows you to think differently. It allows you to go, okay, well, I need to set up better systems. I need really good people that is even better than what I am in the areas that they need to do. Maybe marketing, sales, maybe estimating, maybe like whatever, right? So that clarity allows you to focus and then keep focusing, which is then, I guess, topic 3. Do you want to go to that one? Or is there something else you want to say on focus before we move on?
No, I think it's important we bring topic 3 in because then everyone will see how they all work out.
Yeah, you've been
topic 3.
Busting. You just want to
Topic 3 is execute.
So topic 1, get clear. Clear on what you want. 2, focus on the activities that will help you achieve what you want. And then number 3 is execution.
Yeah.
Number 1 and 2 is pretty easy because you can just sit there and jot it all down at a coffee shop on paper. But number 3 is where it gets real. This is where I struggle a lot. I'm very visionary. I love getting clear on what I want and a strategy around that and how to focus, you know. But to execute with focus, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
So what would you say here? How can builders execute?
Well, they're already executing every day
Something.
on something. And so it just would go back to, and that's why the 3 are so intertwined, is are you clear on it, on what you actually want? Or are you just reacting every day to things and executing on the reaction? So clear, focus on, all right, does this that I'm going to be doing now, this initiative or this project or these tasks today, does that align with that or not? If not, throw it away or give it to someone else.
Yeah. So delete, delegate, automate.
Yeah. And then execute on what makes sense with those first 2.
Yeah.
And then the more focused you can be and the better execution, the more focused the execution can be on those, the faster the feedback loop will tell you whether you're doing the right thing or not.
So that means you've got to look for feedback actively and learn from that feedback to then have a better input for the next time.
Yeah.
Execute better. But yeah, I just want to just pause there for a sec. You just said something really interesting. You said that, look, most builders are executing every day anyway. But the question you want to ask yourself is, are you executing on the right things? And that is why we're doing this podcast today, because if you just get out of bed and you just go to work and the goal is just to execute, that's probably why you're not getting what you want. So that's why topics 1 and 2, or step 1 and 2 really, is so important, because you can execute, but you can just execute on the wrong things every single day. And we spoke about this on Synthesis. I remember, I don't know why this question came up, but I asked the question to someone, or someone asked the question, and I made a statement, and the statement was, we can go into a direction, any direction that we choose. It's our choice. Yeah. Why don't we make that choice?
That is a big question.
It was a very deep question. I remember
Yeah.
everyone was like quite silent, and then you could see everyone thinking, and then we started talking a fair bit about that, which is huge, because and that goes back to the executing on the right thing, the wrong thing, or just the thing just to execute for the sake of executing.
Yeah. And doing nothing is also executing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important to understand. If you're just sitting around doing nothing, that's what you're executing on. That's what you've chosen to execute on. And you are then making progress towards nothing.
So, I mean, if we have to like wrap this up, I would say clear, focus, and execute you don't just do it in those steps. You have to go through that process every single day. You have to go again, revisit. Okay, ask yourself the question again: am I clear on what I want every single morning, every single lunchtime or whatever? Because you can lose it like that.
Yeah.
Because distractions come in, right?
It is going to be hard, like definitely in the beginning, but often it's hard to be executing focused execution on that goal the entire day. Things are going to come up. That's life. But if you know that in the morning, say you've planned for, or you've got a clear plan in place to execute and just make some progress towards the goal every day, that's going to compound.
Yeah.
One thing I will add in terms of wrapping this up, going through those things, it is going to be important at some stage to get maybe some outside observation.
Yeah.
Let's say that, or maybe a mentor or something, or just someone else that you think is.
See it from that third party point of view.
Yeah, and possibly if the other person has done it before, or is ahead of you,
or maybe even going through it at the same time.
Potentially that too. Yeah. Because I think going back to the gap and the gain, sometimes when you're executing, you're not necessarily seeing the progress.
Yeah.
And so it can be hard when you're too close to know whether you are moving in the right direction.
Which is a good thing, because that's what we call focus, right? Because you are focused on the task. And yes, sometimes you've got to zoom out, but I agree. Like sometimes you need someone else to come in with that zoomed out perspective.
Yeah.
And just, give you some guidance in terms of like.
Yeah. And also give it some time. And that's why it's important to have it outside person, because you might be going, man, I've been executing on this for weeks or months and I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're not seeing anything, but an outside person can go, no, I'm seeing momentum here being built. You can see that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the fruit is sometimes just around the corner.
Yeah.
And we often, in terms of what we do when it comes to marketing, we see that so many times where we might be talking to a client and they go, oh, well, I'm not really seeing the fruit that I want to be seeing. And then I've heard from like Rich, like he'll be in the middle of that conversation with that client, and then we're working on,
some new ideas
and stuff like that. And then they get off that call, and then they got the fruit sitting in their inbox.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what?
It's kind of like this YouTube video that I watched the other day. I was just like zoning out at the end of the day. I just had a big day. I'm like, stuff it. I'm just going to watch some mindless stuff. And it's this race. It's been going on in America for ages. Like, I can't remember for how long, but they race basically from, I think, New York to LA.
Wow.
And to this day they do it, but it's illegal, right? So these guys, they build up a car and get like a team together, and the car is kitted with like radar sensors, and they have like a person sitting in the car the whole time with binoculars, like image stabilization binoculars, so that they can actually see, and they look out for cops the whole way. And they go so fast. They go like, I don't know, 200, 250 Ks an hour.
Where
the
did you
whole
find
way.
this video?
Just on YouTube. I'll send it to you. I'll link it in. Anyway, and so some teams, so they go all out with this, and each year they just get the number of hours down. I think it's up to like 25 hours now, and yeah, it was like going back to the horse and cart day. It was real long ago. Anyway, this one team, they have scouts that go ahead, and multiple scouts, because they'll just drive kind of like a little bit faster than the speed limit, so that if they get caught, but they're happy to take the hit, because they can just walkie-talkie the guy coming real fast. So they've got all these scouts ahead the whole way. But then this one particular team, they had a helicopter the whole way. So this is how it ties into what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Right? So sometimes you just need that person that is in that helicopter that can see the big picture to look at what are some of the roadblocks. And yeah.
Good tie-in.
That's kind of like how this whole... that they could see, and I think they did break the record that year because of the helicopter.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need the helicopter view.
There you go. I like that. Thank you very much, Connor.
Yeah. So we should end the podcast probably on that high note.
On that high note, let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks again, mate. Thanks for joining.
Pleasure.
See you next time.
See you next time.